Paternity is one of the big things on every father's mind from the moment they find out they're going to be fathers. And it's easy to see why. 1 out of every 3 children in Nebraska is born to unmarried parents. That's approximately 9,000 children every year who don't have a legal father. I mean, some of these fathers just aren't doing right by their children. But it doesn't need to be that way. You see, just because you aren't married doesn't mean you can't be a good father. To start out, you will need to be legally recognized as one.
Hey, Daddy.
Oh, hey, that's cheating. I'm doing what I can to be a good father. At first, when she was born, I didn't see any reason in becoming the legal father of my little girl. I mean, her mother and I were already living together, and I would be doing my share to support her, so why bother with the legal stuff? But then the staff at the hospital started explaining what paternity is all about. I realized, hey, things can change. And the only way that I can always be sure that I have a relationship with my daughter is to be her legal father. She'll never question who her parents are, as it's clear on the birth certificate. Oh. Let me tell you some other reasons why I decided to acknowledge paternity officially. When unmarried parents don't acknowledge paternity, the father's name doesn't even go on the birth certificate. Can you imagine how this feels for a child? Also, being a legal father will help allow you to have full involvement in important decisions made about your child, like visitation and custody if the parents should split up. Now, it's nice when parents can work those things out together, but if they can't, the father can ask the court to help him have an ongoing relationship with his child. Here's something else you should know. Children can only inherit certain benefits from a legal father. So if something happens to the father, the child may be eligible for life insurance, Social Security, and military or veterans benefits. Sometimes they can also inherit money or property. A legal father will also be able to put the child on his health policy at work. And then, of course, there's child support. Children definitely need child support from both parents. If my girlfriend and I ever break up, I wouldn't want someone else paying for Tina. I want to take responsibility for my own daughter. And I want Tina to know that I'll always be here for her. Now, I know what you're thinking. I'll bet you think it was really difficult for me to establish paternity. A hassle, another expense, confusing. Wrong. Actually, it was pretty easy. We used the hospital acknowledgement of paternity form. All parents need to do is read this form and then sign it in front of the notary at the hospital when their child is born. They even have the form translated into Spanish. Remember, if the mother isn't married, a father can't be added onto the child's birth certificate unless he and the mother complete this form correctly and completely. So it's really important to get this right. The form really is pretty simple and comes with instructions that describe the rights and responsibilities of parents. It also provides information about the legal aspects of signing the form. So be sure to read it carefully. And if you don't understand something, just ask. There are 4 main sections on the form. First, there are a few lines about the child and the parents. Then the next section has a section about the child, mom, and dad, such as name, date of birth, social security number, and address. The third section asks about custody and if the mom was previously married. And then there are a few lines for the mom and dad to sign the form. But don't sign it unless you are in front of a notary. And don't worry about the cost. If you sign the form at the hospital, there is no fee for adding the father's name to the birth certificate. They just check your ID, notarize your signature, and that's all.
Dad, think fast.
Oh, turn around! Now, some people have questions about situations that are a bit more complicated than mine. Check these out. What if the mom is married to someone else? If the mom was married to someone else when the baby was conceived, while she was pregnant, or was divorced or widowed for less than 10 months prior to when the child was born, the law considers her husband to be the legal father, even if he isn't. Before the mother and the real father can sign the paternity form, the husband must sign another form called a 3-way paternity acknowledgement form that says he agrees he's not the father of the child. What if the father is married to someone else? That's a bit less complicated. The father can sign the paternity form even if he's married to someone else. Domestic violence. What if one of the parents doesn't want to sign the form because there's a history of domestic violence or concerns about abuse happening in the future? It's important to remember that the Hospital Acknowledgement of Paternity program is a voluntary program. Although it provides important benefits and is a really good thing for most families, parents should not sign the form unless they are comfortable doing so. Suppose the parents change their minds later after they've already signed the form and the father's name is on the birth certificate. Hopefully, the parents will think things through carefully before they sign the form. But if parents do change their minds, they have 60 days to rescind their acknowledgement. That means they can challenge the form by going to the Nebraska Department of Health and Human Services Vital Records Management Office and fill out a rescission document. If there's any question of the child's actual paternity, the parents shouldn't sign the form. There are other ways of determining paternity. Blood or genetic tests can also be used to determine the probability of fatherhood. These tests can be requested by the mother, the father, a court, or a child support enforcement agency. Now, I've been talking about dealing with the paternity issue at the hospital, but what happens if the parents don't get it done at the time of birth? Well, the first thing to remember is it isn't too late. You just go to a child support enforcement office. Paternity can be established until the child is 19 years old, but take it from me, if you are expecting or you just had a baby, you're going to be really busy. Just do it in the hospital. It's a whole lot easier. Now, I know acknowledging paternity can be a bit overwhelming. I was a little hesitant at first, too. Fortunately, I have a cousin who told me what a great decision acknowledging paternity was for him. What a big difference it made in his son's life, knowing that he would always be there for him. And what a big sense of satisfaction knowing that no matter what, he will always be able to have a relationship with his son. Thanks, sweetie. I know that I never want Tina to feel like I don't care about her. Nothing could be further from the truth. That's why I did the right thing. And now she won't question my commitment to being her real father. Believe me, paternity establishment was the best thing we did for me and Tina, and her mom. I hope you do the same.